In today's video, I'm going to talk about the Chinese pronunciation. To be exact, I'm going to talk about why you shouldn't worry about your Chinese pronunciation. And also, I will show you how to practice the pronunciation step by step, even if you have nobody there to correct you. And of course, I won't stop with the theory. I will also practice 40 sentences together with you and show you both the grammar as well as the pronunciation so that you can also transform these sentences into yes-no questions by the end of the video. And if all these stuff sound interesting to you, keep watching. Hi, I'm Chi from Deepling. I'm a course designer to make Chinese easy. Since 2014, I have been designing online courses to make the Chinese language easy for beginners. 2021, I made a New Year resolution to make my entire content available on YouTube in English and for free. So if you're learning Chinese and haven't found the right place, please subscribe and follow me. You'll be surprised how much you can learn online. So if this isn't your first time watching my video, you probably have asked this question already. And if this is, you will ask this question inevitably because learning Chinese with me on YouTube means you need to repeat after me loud without anyone there to correct your pronunciation. And what's even worse, I don't even teach the tones. So the question is, should you worry about your pronunciation? How to feel good and correct about your pronunciation? Now, let me first put my answer here. No, I don't think you should worry about it. And here's why. I think learning Chinese for the first time is just like learning a song for the first time of your life. You would never start with getting corrected when you made a little mistake. And that's why I'm also so against learning the 4 tones at the very beginning and correct people right after they made a mistake. That's because you haven't built any feelings about this language yet, just like you haven't built any feelings about this piece of music. And if you're learning a song for the first time, you would never insist on getting corrected instantly. But this happens to learning Chinese all the time. And that's why I want to change it. So how to learn the Chinese pronunciation more efficiently? Keep this in mind. Quantity over quality. I know it sounds crazy, but this is true because there's one thing you should know about Chinese, which is the language uses a context-sensitive grammar system. I did not invent this word. It was Noam Chomsky, and I happened to know it when I wrote my master's thesis about Noam Chomsky to become a linguist. But we don't need to go deep into that. A much easier form to explain it is that in Chinese, quantity is indeed over quality. That's because in the Chinese language, the context plays a far more important role than the correct structure of the sentences. And this explains why it's far more efficient to simply gather as many words and sentences as possible when you learn Chinese. Since you know you should focus on quantity, follow the second step now. Read out loud whenever you can. You should always read out loud whenever you can. That's because when you hear some Chinese, most of the time you saw something. So you saw it, you heard it, you speak it, and you listen to yourself again. In this process, your brain is constantly stimulated, and new neurons are connected in this process all the time. And if you keep doing that, you are stimulating your neurons and new connections, and they will stay. After some time, you will realize you can self-optimize your pronunciation because your brain and your muscles are used to that now. The next step is to repeat and repeat and repeat until you master. But what does it mean until you master? The one thing that you shouldn't do is to pursue after perfection, because that's impossible and it's frustrating to pursue after that. But there is one thing that you can pursue, which is being fast. What do I mean by that? Being fast means whenever you see a sentence in English and you know how to say that in Chinese, you should be fast in saying that. Which means when you see the English, instantly you can say in Chinese. It's almost like you don't need to think. It's like you're blurting out. And if you can achieve that, do it. The reason for that is simple. It's just like in step 2. You've built so many connections there that it feels like you own the language. And there is step 0, which is like step always, which is you should stop worrying because it is not necessary to worry about the mistakes. Remember, the quality is not that important like quantity. So keep that in mind. The more you gather, the better. And meanwhile, don't worry too much about your language skills. You'll get there someday. I'm not a big fan of explaining so much theory but do nothing in the end. So let's dive into the real deal and start with the exercise. And if you haven't learned lesson 3 and 4, so far it's fine, but now is the point that you should go back to lesson 3 and 4 and watch them first because that's essential for the coming exercise. Let's start with the vocabulary. Listen to these words again. This time, translate directly from Chinese into English or your native language. Ideally, you don't need to pause and can translate without thinking. If you can't, go back to lesson 4 and practice again.这里狗动物医生老师爱我和你生活时间金钱知识力量体验财富是天蓝山绿水清地球圆苹果欧洲有限
有限，生命，生命，宝贵，宝贵，衣服，衣服，新，新，车，车，二手，二手。Now, let's translate the 40 sentences you've learned from Lesson 4. Translate them from English into Chinese.
But this time, do something different. Speak out loud the answer right after me. Ideally, you don't even need to pause. You're just that fast. And if not, don't worry. Just repeat the process until you become fluent.
Let me show you what I mean by that. First, you will read the English sentence. Then, you translate it into Chinese instantly. Ideally, faster before the answer appears. But if you're not fast enough, pause and say the translation first. Practice until you no longer need to pause. I will show you how to do it first, then do it as I did. 天是蓝的。知识是力量。苹果是我的。Now, you. Now it's time to transform these sentences into questions. They work just like in Lesson 4.
I know it feels like I'm repeating myself a lot, but if you haven't watched Lesson 4, please go back and watch that one because you really need it.
So this is how we turn statements into questions. Let's start with the first sentence. 这是丽丽. In Lesson 1, we have already learned how to turn anything into a yes/no question. Is this Lily? By simply adding a ma. These questions can both be asked positively as well as negatively. Let's use the same example again. 这不是丽丽. And the question is, isn't this Lily? 这不是丽丽吗? And this is how it works. Listen to these sentences now. 这是丽丽吗？这是丽丽吗？这里是柏林吗？这里是柏林吗？狗是动物吗？狗是动物吗？我是医生吗？我是医生吗？他是老师吗？他是老师吗？爱是你和我吗？爱是你和我吗？生活是体验吗？生活是体验吗？时间是金钱吗？时间是金钱吗？知识是力量吗？知识是力量吗？体验是财富吗？体验是财富吗？这不是丽丽吗？这不是丽丽吗？这里不是柏林吗？这里不是柏林吗？狗不是动物吗？狗不是动物吗？我不是医生吗？我不是医生吗？ 他不是老师吗？他不是老师吗？爱不是你和我吗？爱不是你和我吗？生活不是体验吗？生活不是体验吗？时间不是金钱吗？时间不是金钱吗？知识不是力量吗？知识不是力量吗？体验不是财富吗？体验不是财富吗？天是蓝的吗？天是蓝的吗？山是绿的吗？山是绿的吗？水是清的吗？水是清的吗？地球是圆的吗？地球是圆的吗？苹果是我的吗？苹果是我的吗？柏林是欧洲的吗？柏林是欧洲的吗？时间是有限的吗？时间是有限的吗？这是真的吗？这是真的吗？衣服是新的吗？衣服是新的吗？车是二手的吗？车是二手的吗？天不是蓝的吗？天不是蓝的吗？山不是绿的吗？山不是 绿的吗？水不是清的吗？水不是清的吗？地球不是圆的吗？地球不是圆的吗？苹果不是我的吗？苹果不是我的吗？柏林不是欧洲的吗？柏林不是欧洲的吗？时间不是有限的吗？时间不是有限的吗？这不是真的吗？这不是真的吗？衣服不是新的吗？衣服不是新的吗？车不是二手的吗？车不是二手的吗？
There's not a lot to summarize about. I hope you do worry less about your pronunciation and you also had some success today.
With today's video together, from lesson 1 to 5, you can now ask 2 kinds of questions and make 2 kinds of statements. So far, you've learned how to make a statement about a status, how to ask a yes-no question about that status, how to make a fact statement using 是, and how to ask a yes-no question about that fact.
In the next lesson, I will mix all these sentences together with different vocabulary and different sentence structures so that you will truly master 80 sentences with all its vocabulary. I'll keep publishing videos both on how to learn Chinese as well as learning materials. I also provide the entire content for free as download material on my website. You can find the link in the description below. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And also, if you're learning Chinese, make sure you subscribe and also hit the notification button. I'll see you next Friday, and remember, together we can make Chinese easy.